Hello, and welcome to Making Sense of It. I'm Mona Dunkin, your moderator. And last week and today, and for a couple more weeks, myself and Sharon Carter-Jackson and Sue Tomaszewski, we are working together to help. Well, let me start. Let me ask it this way. Do you ever wonder what to do next? Something comes up and you think, what's going on? Well, the more we can internalize the 10 axioms of choice theory, the more we can have a handle and to look at a situation. For example, suppose it may be a child or it may be an employee that is really acting, differently from what they do. And as you can look back at the axiom that all behavior is purposeful, you may can begin to think, I wonder what's going on in this person's life that would bring upon, something so extraordinary that's not like they normally are in their ongoing. So we covered axiom 1 and 2 last week, and we're going to start today with axiom number 3. So you can get it ready to share. And then after looking at the axiom as itself, over time, not only the Quality School Consortium, but also others that use reality therapy come up with little graphics and ways to use things that can make them be more permanent in our life. So Sharon will be sharing those, and then Sue will be giving her input. And so we are here, and the 10 axioms, and we'll go to number 3. We'll start off with that. Well, first of all, we'll repeat these. Number 1 is the only person whose behavior we can control is our own. And that can be pretty grounding if we've never thought of that before. The person that has been thinking that, everything else is everybody else's the blame for, and can begin to look and say, "Ooh, wait, maybe it's me." Point number 2, all we can give or get from each other is information. And how we respond to this information is our choice or it is their choice. And it's realizing that information, we're always giving it and we're always receiving information from others. And even though we may not be aware of it, but once we become aware. So point number 3 is all long-lasting psychological problems are relationship problems, are relationship. So Sharon, you want to take this and add to it?
I think we're going to reverse that, isn't that, Sue?
Yeah, it is me.
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't know if you want to just say, well, here's the, no, I've just, sorry, I just froze. There we go. And then that'll be the fourth one.
The fourth one that we will be looking at is the problem relationship is always part of our present lives. And so those two go hand in hand together. So those long-lasting problems are those relationship problems that may still be intangible relationship with us, or they may be completely gone. But as long as we are carrying it on in our mind and in our heart, and it's still present, and it is a part of our present life. So, Sue, you want to take it away?
Yep. So when we look at the axiom that says all long-lasting psychological problems are relationship problems, so that's axiom number 3. In Dr. Glasser's Choice Theory and New Psychology of Personal Freedom book, he said to us that there's no sense wasting time at all aspects of our lives for why we are choosing misery. The cause of this misery is always our way of dealing with an important relationship that is not working out the way we want it to do. And then he also told us a partial cause of many other problems, such as pain, fatigue, weakness, and some chronic diseases, commonly called autoimmune diseases, is relationship problems. So it's nice he was able to narrow it all down for us, that the cause of everything is about relationships. So working on the Quality School Committee for GIFT with Sharon and a number of other people, what we did is we took our quality school criteria So in this case, the quality school criteria is number 1, that a Glasser quality school is a joyful place where a positive, supportive, trusting learning and working environment is created and maintained. And that basically all of criteria 1 is relationships at its core. But truly what's really emphasized is the fact that the stronger the relationship, the greater the joy experienced by all involved. Then we also saw the connection between this particular axiom and criteria number 4, which is all students, staff, and members of the school community have internalized and practiced choice theory concepts and or the Glasser quality school model. And what we're reminded of and how we linked it is to say that understanding and internalizing the concepts allows all involved in the school to understand what forces, in quotes, may be driving students to do what they do. But again, to know that this would not be understood as a psychological treatment diagnosis, but just an understanding of what might be behind a given behavior.
Okay, the part that I'm going to discuss now is some behavioral and instructional strategies we put together when we presented this information to some schools. Today, we're going to be looking at those behavioral and instructional strategies and expanding them to all areas of our lives. So the first one, connecting habits, all those caring, connecting habits that bring us together, bring us closest together. Asking that key question that Dr. Glasser gave us, is what I'm about to do going to bring me closer to this person or not? Whether this is in a school, whether it's in work, whether no matter where it is, looking at our behavior and connecting that behavior with those around us in whatever endeavor that we're doing. The next one, the questioning process. These are, if we talk about reality therapy, we quite often think of them, this is the WDEP questions, that we use. But in schools, we've kind of called it the questioning process because teachers feel I'm not a counselor, but I can ask questions of my students and of myself. So we look at those things that the student's behavior might be saying to us. As Sue was saying, we look to see, are they wanting to be recognized more? Is their power need? Do they need more love and belonging in the classroom? We work with them and ask them those questions as we go through. Okay, the next one. Looking at some instructional strategies. Oh, cooperative learning. This is a process we use in school where we have our students divided into small groups of 3 to 4 students usually, where they are working together and guided with an objective that all of them will work towards completing. This takes good communication and which involves listening, and this takes understanding and using of those connecting habits from above, also as we work together to connect with each other to discover whatever we need to do in our project. If this was in a work situation, we have all kinds of group committees where these same cooperative skills are needed to move the group on. Class meetings. In schools, we quite often organize ourselves around class meetings where a classroom and a classroom teacher will have a class meeting where students quite often are sitting in a circle, so this open-faced, where everybody can see each other and speak clearly and understand what and make that eye contact that is so necessary. Many times in businesses, it's not always in that open circle, but I would encourage businesses to do that type of meeting where they can sit around a table rather than in rows or as they can. But the class meetings, we're looking to see how we want to operate as a group. What are our goals? What are our standards? Looking at those things that make the group process work for us. In solving circles, this is so unique, and it's really a wonderful process that Dr. Glasser has given to us. He first designed it for working with couples in their relationships. And one of the things he put in the solving circle is, he said, The couples are inside a circle. And there are 3 things in that circle: each person and the marriage. So we can transfer that to the school. We have the members of the class, the members of the teacher. We have the school curriculum, school building activities too. But in the solving circle, whether it's at work or with the school or with a couple, you're looking to see what would make what behavior I have that I could use that would meet whatever you would want me to do. What could I do that would meet, and vice versa, so that we would be relating to each other and meeting each other's needs. Looking at those, what would I be willing to do? And do we have another one?
Nope, that's it.
I thought it was. Thank you.
So on to axiom 4, Mona.
Yes, the problem relationship is always part of our present lives. That it's maybe something that we have brought with us. It's kind of a ghost, but it's still with us. So, Sharon?
Nope, it's me, but that's okay. So Dr. Glasser says in the choice theory, new psychology of personal freedom, what Dr. Glasser said to us was, we don't have to look for the relationship. We don't have to look far, for the relationship. It's not a past or future relationship. It's always a current one. He also said to us, we can be free of many things, but we are never free to live happily without at least one satisfying personal relationship. So then the Quality School Committee from Gift US saw some links between this axiom and our criteria number 1 again. A Glasser Quality School is a joyful place where a positive, supportive, trusting, learning, and working environment is created and maintained. And again, the emphasis now is on student and staff perceptions of a positive environment and relationships in the present. And then criteria number 4. All students, staff, and members of the school community have internalized and practiced choice theory concepts and our Glasser Quality School model. And what's emphasized here is that understanding and internalizing the concepts allows all involved in the school to understand what forces may be driving students to do what they do, and that all behavior is purposeful. So again, we're saying that the link between axiom 3 and axiom 4 also are linked in the criteria that we have for Gift US's criteria for quality schools.
Okay, Sue, while we're there on that, can you kind of expand on what you mean by forces maybe driving the student?
Yes. So we very often, in working with kids, and again, if we're in a workplace or we're in a family, we sort of sit back and say, now, why ever would the person do this? Why would the kid do this? Like, whatever would motivate the kid to hit the other kid in the head? Like, whatever would motivate that teenager to yell back at her mother? Like, why ever would that person steal from the store? Why would that person talk on the phone when they're not supposed to be on the phone? Why is that person making a fuss at the movie theater when you're surrounded by other people? And we sit back all the time and go, why are you acting so stupid? Or why are you acting in a way that I would never personally act? And with that, we're kind of calling those forces. So what are the forces that, if all behavior is purposeful, whatever is going on here, what would be the driving force for somebody to do something that we're looking at, whether it's positive or negative? But there's always a purpose behind it.
Okay, well, thank you. That's beautiful. I mean, and that goes in with the basic needs. Like it may be a power need, it may be a love need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's being acted out either positively
Mm-hmm.
or negatively.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Sure thing. Okay, Sharon.
Right. And as Sue was saying, all of our behavior is purposeful, and it is to meet those psychological and the physiological needs. So we're looking to see where the students are. And part of that comes out in our behavior strategies. So let's take a look. Okay, again, we have that questioning process. And in that questioning process, whether it's in the school, whether it's in the work situation that you're working with, whether it's in a family situation, you're wanting, just what do you want? What do you really want? Are you getting it? Is it working? Whereas, what else could you be doing? Can we help figure this out? So we're working at that process of looking at our students' needs and working with them to help them figure out what would help them to meet those needs in an effective way that would work within the school process, the work process. Maybe it's a store where the employees are working, but they have those same needs no matter where they're working and what they're doing. So using that questioning process is a good way to do that. And it even works when you use it on yourself. Asking that when you are puzzled and things just don't feel right, So stop, step back and ask yourself, what is it I'm wanting?
So, Sharon, in with that, and you've explained it beautifully, that we're wanting to help them to self-evaluate as opposed to grill them just to get the answers.
Definitely. Right. Right.
And trying to look at what are the present behaviors. So the D is the doing. So you really want this. What are you doing to get this? And how well is that working? So it's really interesting because Dr. Glasser helped us to be very specific. So you want this. Are you doing anything about it? What are you doing? And how well is it working? So just to say, I want it, I'm just going to wish positive thoughts and it'll come.
Or I'm
what are you actually doing?
Right. Or I'm going to lay down and kick my feet till I get it.
Right.
It's one extreme or the other usually that our behavior goes to. Right.
Well, sometimes kicking and screaming works. But on the other hand, but it may interfere with the relationship.
There you go. Okay. Let's look further. Again, we have those class meetings. And the class meeting, whether it's in the classroom or is in a work situation or a family situation, the critical issue is that people are talking together. They're planning together so that mutual needs are met and the relationships are kept. Because as we said, the relationships are in the present, and whatever the family is doing, the work situation is doing, the classroom is doing, or the school community is doing, we're looking to each other to figure out what's going to make all of our lives more profitable and build those relationships on the positive side. Again, the solving circle, this just dovetails into the class meetings, of course. And I can't say enough about that. Okay, I can see things are just not working well. I've been hearing lots of complaints. I've been hearing grumblings. I've been seeing people that are using those negative habits with each other. It's time we can sit down and figure out what we need and where we're all going so that we come back to the positive, supportive, caring habits, and we can then in the school get down to the business of learning. Because if we're in the other situation, there is not much learning going on, and we want to be in that positive. That's what school's about. That's what work production line is about, being able to work together and make a positive situation.
And one last one.
Affirmation statements. It is so good to use affirmation statements because when you talk to yourself, you're really talking to yourself. Don't just say, I'm saying this. Don't just glibly say this. Take it to heart. I am a beautiful person. Smile and look at that reflection in the mirror and see yourself that way. I am a capable person. I did a great job on this project. Use those affirmations. I've been talking about using them with myself, but I think we can do that as a class, as a group, as a unit in a work situation. Look what we've done. What have we done together? List those, talk about those affirmations. How can we use these strengths now to do the next thing that is difficult? Can we remember how we did this working together, using our strength as we go along, not falling into those negative complaining habits.
There are people, when we talk about the affirmation statements, that also really advocate for making the affirmation statements in the present tense, as opposed to saying, I will be better tomorrow.
Right.
I will keep my diet later, but to say I am. And some of that is to trigger what goes on in the brain, that the brain is picturing what's happening right now. And so in a sense, the brain will provide energy to get there. So sometimes people find that to be very important.
I think it is very, very important, Sue, because you need to deal with the present, not the future, as Dr. Glasser has told us. We live in the present and we behave in the present. Thank you.
You're
Okay.
welcome. So instruction?
Yeah, let's look. Instructional strategies, cooperative learning again. That is that working together in a small group. And that happens no matter where we are in life, whether it's in the school, whether it's in a work situation, committees, whether it's within the family. But being able to work together and using our skills, meeting our needs together so that each person has their needs met, so that the project or whatever we are doing moves on and we stay in that positive caring habits and improvements are made. And okay, reinforcing effort and providing recognition. Within the school setting, you know, children work so hard and adults as students work so hard sometimes. You just can't see the forest for the trees, you know. Am I really learning this? Am I really doing this? And we all need to have that acknowledgement of what we have been doing. And sometimes we need to give this to ourselves as above in the affirmation. I've managed this class. I did all of the objectives. It also comes from other people around us, whether it's within those cooperative learning groups, it's other groups that we're working with, the family, the committees, people saying to each other, you did a great job on this. I really liked when you did, and naming a specific behavior that they did. You showed good strength in this. And I think the more we do that as leaders within a situation is good, but the more our community is developed, and this is where the solving circles and the class meetings come in, the more that strength of that community is developed, the more it is provided among the group. And nothing helps me to feel really recognized than it coming from a peer of a group that I've been working with, because I know they had the lowdown of what I was trying to do. And they would not give it to me unless I was doing it well. So, I mean, those are, I think, really critical things for both students or any family or work situation.
So I'm seeing something here that I hadn't really seen before. I appreciate it. When we're looking at behavioral strategies, we're pretty much looking at in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we get to looking at the instructional strategies, we're looking at today plus in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps.
Right, perhaps. That's kind of
what I want to emphasize here is from the instructional strategies, this is work of Dr. Robert Marzano, that these are like meta studies of the top nine instructional strategies that work, that in terms of achievement. The one on reinforcing effort and providing recognition, for us in an internal motivation world that we're living in, the idea of reinforcement is going back to behavior management, is going back to external. What's really important here is to know reinforcing, please note the effort word. The effort word is really the key. And that's really very much tied in with Carol Dweck's work, which is about mindset. That's about the growth mindset, and that it's the effort that's going to make the biggest difference. So I may not be looking at necessarily the product itself, as opposed to saying, you know, this paragraph is great. It may be, you know what, I can tell you worked really hard on this paragraph. I can tell you really went to town and made sure that your words were spelled right, which means you really were looking at our spelling list and making sure that everything was going to flow. So things in that sort. And then the providing recognition, and sometimes that'll get tied right back into the questioning process. So if you were going to give yourself an award, what would it be in? And now let's look in the group. So when you're in your cooperative group, what can you as a cooperative group give yourselves credit for? And is there anybody in your group you'd like to thank for anything they contributed? So it sometimes goes full circle in there, but I just think it's really important to go back to the effort piece.
Mm-hmm.
Just comes back also to attribution theory, which is looking at the only thing that we can really control is the effort. And the idea that sometimes in schools, a kid's product is going to be not as good as another kid's product, but the kid has worked really hard and way harder than other kids. So sometimes we have that delineation between the kids who are naturally smart at something and the kids who have to really work hard at something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really a look at attribution theory is the one, and then mindset theory is another one that really keeps the idea that Dr. Marzano gave us, reinforcing effort as well as providing recognition. I think it's just really important. So again, Mona, when you're talking about that, it may just be today, it may not be. It may be, you know, I can tell you've been working really hard at. It might be you've studied, you know, the results of the test indicate that you really did study. Let's talk about what you did to study.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but that's beautiful. Thank you for that in-depth explanation. That is wonderful.
And, you know, as Sue was talking, this brings me back to all the students that struggle the most. And if you can get the mindset that I am able to learn, no matter where the student is on the learning ability scale, they will put forth that effort. And once they're able to put forth that effort, because they now have these skills and guidance, they will begin to achieve much more. This will go back to the employee that just does not seem able to get it, but is working really hard. And perhaps, so I think that mindset is critical to everything that we do and in helping the learning process go along. Thank you, Sue.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. Well, that's all we have for 4, unless people want to go on to 5. So
We'll
there we
wait.
be.
We will wait. Our time is up here, so we'll go ahead and stop and thank each of you very much for your contribution, and we will go ahead and do see, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do 5 and 6 next week, and so tune in for us and participate. And thanks for being here today, and many blessings to all.